I found out my wife did sleep with her coworker and continued in affairs a year after I found messages between them. She was also sending him nudes. Selfish. I just discovered text messages that proved my wife slept with her coworker and was also sending him nudes. Selfish. So going back to the beginning, my wife and I have been together for 8 years. We have a 5-year-old son. About 2 years ago I started to develop suspicions that she was seeing someone. She became distant and having cold behavior with me. Body relationship between us was becoming more and more rare. I also noticed she was putting a lot of effort into her appearance when getting ready for work. We started to argue more often. It was a rocky time. Well, one night, I decided to look through her phone while she was in the kitchen and my heart sank to my stomach. There were months of messages back and forth between her and one of her coworkers. In these messages they would tell each other how much they loved each other, and she would even say things like, "If I was not married before I would have been with you." I confronted her and kicked her out to her parents' house. I called her mom to let her know about the messages I found. I will admit, I lost my cool a bit and tore up some of her heels that I knew she really loved. We spent 3 months separated. I gave her the option to leave if she wanted to, letting her know that I would not hold a grudge if she didn't love me anymore and wanted to be with this other guy. She decided she wanted to stay and work on the marriage if I would accept that. I let her know that I would only want to try if she didn't sleep with him, which she said she only ever kissed him once. I love my wife very much, and I was willing to forgive her and agreed to work on our marriage. It was an extremely difficult 6 months because I would constantly bring up the situation and remind her that she better not be making a fool of me still or I'm lawyering up and leaving her. She promised me she wasn't, and she worked really hard to prove to me that she wants to be in this marriage. Well, fast forward a year. Last October, and I got message on my Instagram inbox from a fake profile. The message was, "Hello my dear, please read. Hey, just a heads up, I accidentally saw your wife at her coworker's house. This is the address." The stranger typed correct address of coworker's house. I showed her the messages and let her know we were going to divorce. She denied it and claimed she didn't know what it was about. I did some research on the location of her phone and messages and there was nothing that showed signs of her being at this address. Later that night she told me that it was her coworker who had a psycho moment and wanted to ruin our marriage because he was jealous that she chose me. I guess he called her to confess about it. That was last October and I shrugged it off and believed her because of how much effort she had been putting into our marriage since I discovered the affair. Well, fast forward to this past Friday. I was cleaning out my car and I found a thumb drive that I didn't recognize. I asked my wife if it was her and she said no. I let it sit there until yesterday when I decided to plug it into my laptop. I know it's not advised to plug in unknown thumb drives, but I was curious to figure out whose it was by what was in it. It had one file saved as new folder. This folder was created 3 weeks ago. I opened it, and it was images of text messages. Turns out, the affair was still going on up until last July. In these messages I found selfies she would send him, some pictures of her but in just underwear, and even 2 full-body nudes. It was only her messages though, none of the coworkers. But I found his name all over in these messages, still telling him she loved him. One where she's describing how he telling her to kiss him while he came made her come. Also one asking him how good his pull-out game was and saying, "No, you didn't come in me, only all over my dress." There was about 12 messages that spanned from February to July. In the last message, it was her calling off the affair, telling him that she has felt terrible since the beginning, that she is happy with what she has, and her requesting he should delete everything she ever sent him. I am beyond disgusted and shocked. Even though it's been almost a year since she cut it off, I feel so stupid that she was doing this an entire year after she was telling me she loved me and that this had stopped when I first found out about it. I'm having trouble collecting my thoughts. I'm also having trouble figuring out where that thumb drive came from. I doubt my wife was carrying proof of her affair around. The only other thing I can think of is that the ex-affair did this. He's still bitter and wants to hurt us both. But that would mean he needed to somehow gain access to my car. I'm completely confused at this point. Would I be stupid to let this go since she called it off last July? Should I just lawyer up and divorce her?